Hi, okay. So I wanted to make like a quick little intro about my Camino Portuguese and like why it was a personal failure for me, but also I just learned a lot from it, obviously, like with everything in life. I went into it unprepared and with just poor expectations of what was actually going to happen. I was just very disappointed in myself, but also in the route, even though it wasn't the route's fault, it was really my fault for just not being prepared. The plan was to arrive in Porto and start 2 days afterwards. 2 days turned into 2 weeks, and I just kept delaying my Camino, and it did not help at all in terms of my motivation and me getting on the trail. This is just a little bit of a story of what I went through. I had arrived in Porto to start my Camino weeks ago. Each day I pushed my start date back and back and back. I couldn't get my mind together for some reason. I spent my days relaxing, enjoying the city, eating lots of food, but I knew I had to get my act together. So when I started, I basically forced myself to start, and I did everything possible to try to like ease myself into it. I bought new shoes, which people would advise not to, but I had a pretty good experience with buying new shoes on my Frances because my original shoes were worn down. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna try these Hoka shoes, and you can like walk like really long distances in them. So I was like, I'm gonna try these out. I'm gonna buy this to see how this goes. So I just did little things to kind of prepare myself and to get myself like excited.
Crossing the tracks in New York is like that never happens. So this is quite a little journey getting to runners, but closer. And it's probably gonna prepare me for highway walking on the Camino, so it's good. Found it. It's an interesting store. These are good for the street.
This is running shoe street.
Yeah.
The most cushion one.
Okay.
Speaking to the shop owner motivated me. She walked many Caminos. When I meet people that are a little bit older than me, I look up to them. I envision that in a couple years, I too will have a couple Caminos under my belt.
This is another brand.
She did mention quickly that the Camino Portuguese had a lot of pavement walking. I wish I had listened. I remember when I was packing, I like there's this moment and I tell myself like, oh, the bag is fine, like I'll just get used to it. But another example of me just being super ill prepared. I also was really out of shape. The year before I did the Camino Frances, I was living in Thailand and I was super healthy. I was going to the gym every day. I was like breathing in clean and fresh air, and I was just in a really good headspace that I was working through with the Frances, like my dad's death and just the aftermath of the pandemic and the trauma of just the world shutting down and all that stuff. But with the Portuguese, I was going through significant downs right before. I think it was after I finished the Camino Frances, my mental health was like high, and then it just like took a nosedive. I had family issues, I had personal issues that I was going through, and I just kept comparing my life to the high that I felt on the Frances, and that's all I really, really wanted. I just wanted to go back to the trail. I just wanted to go back to walking and doing things that made me feel wholehearted. And my new life after the Frances didn't represent all that I learned and I accomplished during the pilgrimage. So I just went into the Portuguese like with really high expectations of what I wanted it to give me immediately. And when it didn't give me that immediately, then I like was finding everything wrong with the route, why it wasn't a good fit for me.
I think if I have my book bag packed, that will help me feel ready to start. I have so much jet lag, I don't know why. I don't think I've ever had this much jet lag in my life.
Packing my bag felt really, really good. My room was in chaos. It felt like I was taking another step.
It's not a lot because I'm going to be wearing my shoes and I'm always going to have one outfit on, so remove that weight. And then it's just like you need the stuff, like it just is what it is.
It felt like the stormy mess that I was swimming in for the past 2 weeks had finally cleared up.
It's quite heavy, but I'll get used to it. I just gotta carry it.
I went to bed feeling really accomplished and like I was on the right track. Camino gives you what you need, right? And what I really needed was to rest, was to experience something outside of where I was living. I really needed a little bit of adventure. I needed to be in nature. I needed to be active and feel like I was moving, but I didn't necessarily need the hike in that moment. And that's okay, right? That's okay to reevaluate things and to decide that I wanted to change my mind. And I think my struggle was really coming to terms with that. The next step in starting my Camino Portuguese was getting my Camino passport, my credential. I woke up early that morning feeling really refreshed and excited to get my Camino passport. I got my passport.
Oh, a stamp. It's pretty funny. It was €5.
Getting my passport did help. It had felt like I already started my Camino in some ways. I walked through the cathedral on high. It reaffirmed that I was a pilgrim, that I was on a pilgrimage to Santiago. I can't explain it, but there's such a strong energy that radiates from these places of worship. I walked to the top of the tower and saw Porto from high. I envisioned myself on my journey, walking through the tiny streets, getting to Santiago.
Okay, getting myself together. I am basically doing my route. I have like a whole list of this is like research that I did like from the internet, but like just like recommendations that people made and like Facebook comments and stuff like that. So I'm gonna go through it, put them on the map, and then after I put them on the map, I'm gonna go through my Camino Ninja and kind of see like the route and like all the different cities that I could stay in the distance and kind of like map out my.
I used the motivation from getting my passport and exploring the cathedral to start planning my route. I was motivated and I planned all night. There were certain things about the route that I did not research, which is ill-advised. I didn't realize that I would be walking across the boardwalk so much. Rather, I thought the boardwalk walk would be beautiful, but it actually was very hot, and it was really hot during this time in Portugal. It should have been a little cooler, but it wasn't. So I was prepared for like rainy weather, but it was like really hot. Unfortunately, I had a really bad start to my morning.
Start, I feel. I actually just told myself out loud, why am I doing this? So yeah, I don't feel the best. I feel really insecure about how heavy my bag is, but I don't know how to pack lighter. Like everything I put in there I need. There's nothing I could take out. Like a couple of glass jars, like for my like face cream and stuff, but that stuff is kind of non-negotiable because I have like, my skin gets so dry. But I think I just have to start. And however far I get is however far I get. I'm just not feeling the best. It could just be nerves though. I got up later than I thought. I wanted to be out of here by like 7. It's 7:45. I was so tired. I just couldn't get my body up any earlier. New kicks. Okay, I've officially started littoral, I don't know, something like that, but it's basically like really tight along the beach. So I'm gonna do this for today, and then tomorrow I'll switch to the central route.
My confidence built stronger and stronger as I began walking.
Beautiful, actually. Getting to the Centurial route, it kind of requires a little bit of a maneuvering. It's not confusing, but definitely following my Camino app to make sure I'm going down the right way. But looks like I'm gonna be weaving through like these small little homes.
I felt joyful walking through the winding, tiny, narrow streets, hearing people go about their daily morning routine. I imagined what it would be like during medieval times.
I'm on the route. Yay!
Else about the route that I compared greatly to the Frances was that there was a lack of community, especially where I started in Porto along the Centurial route, cutting into the central route. Not that many people were doing that. I think a lot of people were like along the central route. Maybe if I would have started along the central route, I would have met more people. But because of where I started, I didn't really see that many pilgrims. I saw like a handful on my first day versus my first day on the Camino Frances. I mean, I started it with a friend, so the first 2 days, I think the first 3 days I was with a friend up until Pamplona. I can never say that city. Up until that city, I was with a friend, and I had met like a whole community of people like around my age, and it was just fantastic. And I did not find that on the Portuguese route, and that was really, really difficult, like just being alone. And I didn't really realize how much community, how integral community is to this pilgrimage, because I'm a lone ranger and I tend to do things by myself, which is good. But especially in the beginning, going through having all the circumstances that I did have in terms of being out of shape, feeling mentally not fit, false expectations or improper expectations, it would have been nice to have people around me to be like, no, keep going, we got this, to laugh about things, to cry about things. But I was completely by myself. And I was like, I want to hear buencamino. I miss hearing buencamino. And I did not feel that in Portugal as much in the beginning. And then also the beginning of the Frances was incredibly beautiful. Like you were just in this countryside in France, and it was just gorgeous. And then after that, we were like walking through the Pyrenees, which is like incredible. And you're just like, feel like you're just like in a forest, an enchanted forest. And it's basically like that until you get to Pamplona. The central route was less. The last day I walked it, it did seem like it was going to get a little bit more like rustic, more like in the forest, in the woods. But I don't know, it was a lot of pavement walking, and I didn't really want to walk like alongside a road. It's just that's not what I envisioned. And I think that comes into research and just like knowing what you're getting yourself into. And I just did not do a good job of that. So
It's getting hot, but it's pretty. Feeling pretty good.
as the sun got higher in the sky, things went downhill really fast. I was hot, tired, my body felt really heavy, and I was out of shape. I constantly compared the first day of my Camino Frances to the first day of my Portuguese. At this point, I sat down and cried.
got to Matonisas, it got pretty bad. The scenery, like, I don't think many people talk about that, but the scenery along the coast is actually quite mundane. And I don't know if I'm like the biggest, I think I like beaches, but to walk like the same type of boardwalk for hours, I just couldn't do it. My body was just not reacting well. I was tired, and then I started way too late. And I was like, oh my God, I'm not gonna get there till 5, which means 6, because I'm exhausted. And I just couldn't take it. I like started crying, had a breakdown. I didn't even want to talk to my boyfriend, no.
After showering, I felt refreshed. I decided to do what I always do after a long Camino day: explore my Albuquerque and then go for a long walk. I liked my hostel. It was festive, clean, and creative. They seemed ready to welcome pilgrims. I had a nice evening walking through the streets of the town. I had fresh fish under the sunset. I went to bed exhausted, but with a slight smile on my face. I felt a little bit more hopeful about my second day on the Camino.
So right now, I am walking to meet the central route. It's kind of weird because there's a lot of people walking, but they're like going in the opposite direction. Not a lot, probably like 3 people I saw. So I'm like, I want to say like, no, I'm not going the wrong way. I'm just going a different way because I hate this route, the other route, the coastal route, or Centaurio. I think it's a coastal route at this point. But so I'm probably like a kilometer away, and then I will join it. So this is walking. It's a very quiet morning. Just like local people out and about, but it's still really chill. I mean, today is, well, it's Saturday, so that makes sense. Oh, where's today from?
I woke up in good spirits, but I left too late again.
Okay, I'm feeling very discouraged. I'm stopping for a break. It's really hot, and the walk is just bad. I'm basically like walking on like a highway, and I think the walk to Arcos is like this the whole way, which I didn't expect. I think I remember reading that, but I think just a combination of yesterday and probably comparing it to the Frances as well, I feel. I'm just not feeling it. I'm really thinking about just taking an Uber back to Porto and going off on another adventure. But I feel really disappointed in myself. So, I mean, I'm not supposed to necessarily be like enjoying it, like this is the best thing in my life, but I feel like I definitely should be seeing the purpose and the value and the worth, and I'm not really feeling that. The heat that I have to walk in with no shade along the highway, and I just don't know if I could do it. I don't know if I want to do it too. And I'm terrified of getting another headache again like yesterday from dehydration. So, an update. I could not get a taxi. There were none, which isn't surprising at 10:34 a.m. So I have to walk along like a busy road, which is a little scary here because the drivers are kind of fast. So yeah, I'm a little nervous, but here's what it is.
I can't explain the happiness I felt when I saw the sign for Arcos.
Yeah, I don't think I like it. This is my room, which I quite like actually. It's right by the road, so you can hear the cars going by, but it's clean. And I have privacy. Heater, God bless them. A little fridge, that, all my stuff, and a nice little bathroom.
I went for an evening walk, exploring the town and exploring the church. There was even a little fair. I decided to stay in Arcos for a rest day to kind of gather my thoughts and decide if this Camino was for me. Arcos is actually an extremely part of Portugal's history. It's a very historical town that has so much history. And I was at this old church, and when I walked inside, I just felt overwhelming peace, I suppose. And again, like, I'm not Catholic, so, but I am very open to like exploring or receiving from different religions what I can get. And I just felt like these chills over my body, and I was just talking to Daddy and just saying, like, you know, just really help me to figure out what my next steps are. Or if I'm not supposed to figure it out, then let me be okay with that. But I just felt really calm. Just keep trekking, and this is what the Camino is about, right? It's about finding your way, or letting the way find you. And I'm just open to that. I'm not gonna resist anymore. But it's a very beautiful part of the town. It's like right in the center, actually. It's just really pretty. I'm not sure what these are. They look like tombs. I'm still in rates, but I decided last night, to officially end my Camino here. Last night was really tough, and I felt like the world was like closing in on me. I've just been dealing with a lot of mental health battles and depression and anxiety, and I thought that this would be the solution to it, but for some reason this time it wasn't, which is hard for me because I know that Santiago, you know, I'm gonna cry, I'm gonna get my Compostela, like all this great stuff, but it still doesn't feel like it's predictable in that way. Like, I know what I'm gonna get, and I know that it will be amazing for me, but for some reason it still doesn't feel right now. Any suggestion that my boyfriend gave me, I was like mad at him for. I was like, no. So I had to kind of be like, well, what do I want? And I didn't know what I wanted, but then I had to go with, what is your gut telling you? What gives you more peace? And the only thing that gave me a little bit more peace was definitely not continuing. Challenging, and it's difficult, and it's supposed to be. When I was walking last time, I still felt like a sense of purpose, and I still was driven to finish. Like, you know, I was angry sometimes, was tired, but I still like wanted to keep going. But this time does not feel like that. It just feels very misaligned. I was thinking of maybe like going to Villa Conde, then maybe taking the train from Villa Conde to Porto. And I also can't check into my hotel probably too much later, so that could be a nice way to kind of get some sightseeing done, and, you know, it could be good. Leaving! Feel kind of good. I wish I felt like this the last 2 days, but maybe I feel good because I know that I'm gonna end it in the next town. So I'm just walking, listening to music, and I'm about to go on the central route now and head to Barcelona,
something like that. And that's the pilgrim statue. Oranges. I can actually kind of smell them. Lemon tree. Okay. I wasn't doing anything. Protective dogs.
It seemed that staying in Arcos and getting some rest was what my body needed. I felt excellent.
Quite the hill just now. I don't know who said that there's no hills here. I remember reading that they said it was very flat. This is quite a little hike here going up.
I still left too late and the sun was beaming down on me. But it didn't matter because this would be my last day on the Camino.
Made a little bouquet. Some wild flowers. I don't even know what to call them. Wild plants. It's really pretty, right?
My hope at this point was to walk to Barcelos, but I couldn't make it. I was just like, I'm too hot, I'm tired. I just wasn't feeling it. So I stopped, and I stopped at this like wonderful cafe or like restaurant. There was a whole bunch of pilgrims there. And I remember that moment I was so embarrassed. Like my ego was like, oh my God, like these people are gonna know that I'm taking an Uber back to town and they're gonna think I'm cheating. And then they're gonna be known as a girl. Like I'm like very easily noticeable on these routes. Like not many people like me. So like they're gonna like, no, everyone's gonna like say, she's a fraud, she's a fake. So that was a really hard moment, but I had to surrender into like what I needed. And I was so happy when I got in the Uber back to Porto, and I didn't have any regrets in that moment, but it took me so much to get to that point. And all the Caminos are so special, and it's just identifying what your needs are and what you being clear and honest about what you need from something, and if that can give it to you. And if it doesn't, being open to that. And the pilgrimage is not a band-aid. It just doesn't fix things, right? Like it's your work, your inner work that you're doing. And I definitely do think I put it on a pedestal. I think it heals a lot. It can definitely heal a lot. The walking meditation aspect of it, being in nature, the spiritual part of it, the religious part of it. I think those are all really, really powerful healing modalities for mental health and physical health. However, it's not a one size fits all, and it wasn't what I needed. Right now I'm planning my next Camino. I think I'm gonna do Via de la Plata. I think I'm just learning to be more gentle with myself, and it's okay to have failures. And I left the Camino Portuguese. I ended up going on a whole other adventure through Portugal, and then through Scotland, through Wales, through England. So that came from that, from that disappointment. The Camino routes is not the problem. It's just being honest about what worked and what didn't work.